Hello there. If you're watching the recording of this live stream, you can go ahead and move up to the 10-minute mark. Around there, that's when we will officially get started. So welcome, enjoy this practice of meditation, this study, and if you move ahead to the 10-minute mark, that's about where we'll get started.
Oh, I can understand. No?
This is the living moment. Derek, I'm very happy that you're here, but if when you are smoking, if you could have a camera turn off, because or hookahing, because it can be very distracting to people. But I'm happy to see you. And hi there, Pius. And please, Derek, when you when you're not enjoying that, if you can have your camera on, then that's appreciated. All right, so we'll be settling in, waiting around for a bit as people join us. Making the people for work come tomorrow. You are fasting today, right? Like, Hello, Maximiliano, Cliff, Utkarsh, and Mickey, Zeros, and Elena joining through YouTube.
Hello.
Ah, yes, hello. So if I attach my microphone right here, is that pretty easy to hear?
I hear it well, Bunty.
Okay. And hi, David. And Francie, welcome. Uh, David, if you could go on push to talk or to mute your mic, that would be good because you have a sensitive microphone set up there. I can also do it for you if you don't know how. Can't use the microphone. Okay, so I will help you out. It says that I need special permission. Huh, okay. So actually, I think, David, that your microphone is already on. If you spoke right now, I bet people would hear you.
Okay, I can see that now.
Yeah, thank you, David. And hi, Anushka.
Hello.
Yeah, Anushka connecting with, where are you connecting from, Anushka?
Sorry, I am in. Do you mean where I am?
Yeah,
Sorry,
that's right.
I'm in the UAE,
The UAE, okay,
but I'm trying out another VPN as you suggested,
okay,
and I think it's working.
yeah. And RJ, nice to have you here, RJ. And if you're watching through YouTube, you can say hello. I see Michelle is here. Home. And we have Mickey, Eduardo, and Rue uh, joining here in person.
If that's Michelle Walker, I just wanted to let you know I really enjoyed your commentary yesterday.
Okay, Michelle, so you are appreciated. Don't ever show up and think you aren't appreciated because, was that Derek?
Yes, it was.
Okay, Derek appreciates you. Michelle just joins through the YouTube, so, but she's quite a wonderful member of our community. Pop out, okay. And Faris B also on YouTube. And I see Anna and Morgan. Hi, Morgan. Morgan and Anna. So
Good
let's,
morning.
yeah, morning time. So let's go ahead and start to get started. We can find our meditation position, which is really just a comfortable position in which to be awake. So we find that position for ourselves to be awake and comfortable. So we find our comfortable position and we can begin to turn our mind around. All day, all night, constantly thinking about what is this body going to do in the environment? What is this body going to do outside? But right now, putting the body down, finding our meditation position, and starting with 2 or 3 quite deep breaths, bringing the mind home to the body, bringing the mind in, turning the mind around, our awareness around to look inside. So we start to look and give our full attention to the inside of our body. Giving our full attention to the body sitting here at this moment. We can start to notice whatever there is to notice. Not looking for anything, giving away, letting go of past and future. Just to breathe and look inward right now. In hearing sounds, we don't apply any judgment, whether the sound is good or bad or right or wrong, but just hearing, just listening. And we sit here not alone, but alone together, and we recognize that our practice is not done alone, but is done with all beings. The whole universe is gathered together at this moment, bringing ourselves to the real center of our life, the real axis on which our life turns. This moment, this breath. We accept what we are experiencing. No conflict, no better or worse. As the breath comes in, we are aware that the breath is flowing in. As the breath goes out, we are aware that the breath is going out. We can bring up a sense of contentment in just breathing. Pleasant, unpleasant, and neutral. Not pleasurable, not painful. Sense of boredom. The nutrients of our practice. The reminders for our practice. To be aware and not focused on, not concerned with the content of that awareness. Just to be aware. I should have done this. I should not have done that. All of it coming to a point. All of it fading away in this present moment awareness. In breathing deeply and fully. All of those difficulties supporting us, allowing us to just sit here, to just breathe, to just be aware. especially when we are beginning our meditation. If you feel that there is some clog, some blockage, some barrier that is interfering, just breathe deeply. Clear the lungs, clear the pathways of your awareness. Refresh and restart and continue. Breathe your awareness in fully, becoming so aware of any blockage, any difficulty, and as you breathe out, releasing and relaxing. Do not be blocked by blockages. Just aware, continuously aware. So at this time, we can make sure that we are comfortable and can continue to stay in your meditation position if you like, or if you in your kind of meditation practice, but also can relax a bit, and we will continue our reading of the teachings from Zen Master Empty Cloud. And we'll start, as we have lately, with a verse from the original Buddhist teachings, the early Buddhist teachings, the Pali Canon, and specifically a verse from the Samyutta Nikaya. And I've heard it said that this compilation, this compilation of the Buddha's teachings was really originally directed more towards monastics or towards practitioners. And so in the Buddha's time, there was this and really in Buddhism in general, a very strong line between religious Buddhists, people who follow the religion religiously, versus the monastics or the meditators. So you'll find many people in Southeast Asia and many parts of the world who are devoutly Buddhist, but don't practice much meditation. However, they might have a lot more of a clear and consistent relationship with people who do practice meditation, with monks, and that in and of itself can bring a certain kind of practice. Okay, so this verse is titled Delight. At Savatthi, standing to one side, that Devata recited this verse in the presence of the Blessed One. One who has sons delights in sons, children. One with cattle delights in cattle. Acquisitions truly are a man's delight, a person's delight. Without acquisitions, one does not delight. So this high being came next to the Buddha, this angelic being, something like that, came by the Buddha and said this verse to the Buddha. And we chant in the mornings here this certain the three refuges, and kind of recollecting the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha, and recognizing the Buddha as this enlightened teacher. And one of the things that we chant in that is that the Buddha is the teacher of both human beings and celestial beings. Buddha is the teacher of gods and all humans, all peoples. So the Buddha is even teaching Zeus, for example. If Zeus shows up, then he's going to be teaching Zeus, or Thor, for example. So this Devata, this high being, this Deva, came by and said this verse to the Buddha. And the Buddha responded, one who has sons sorrows over sons. One with cattle sorrows over cattle. Acquisitions, possessions, truly are a person's sorrows. Without acquisitions, one does not sorrow. So without having those things that we say, this is me, this is mine, this belongs to me, we don't have sorrow. And I will say that in a physical sense, the body has a lot more potentiality for suffering, for misery, for great pain than it does great pleasure. So that delight over children or relationships or possessions, I drive a fast car. Maybe one day I'll have a car. Probably not, but I really delight in this. I really love this. Look at this car. The delight that one gets from possessions is probably is far outweighed by the sorrow that can come and that does come from losing those possessions, from the loss. So while attachment can bring pleasure, it more often than not carries with it great sorrow, great difficulty. So the topic, the chapter that we are working with today is entitled Difficulties. And I can say difficulties have been a very great part of my path as a meditator and getting into meditation, getting into Buddhism, starting to follow a introspective, contemplative, self-healing path. It's been a lot of difficulties. And we can see there's kind of a picture here of some people in great difficulty, maybe some beings in hell or something, or a hellish realm. It's just a little tiny picture. So just imagine some hellish experience pictures. So chapter 6, difficulties. Sometimes the teaching of Zen can be as frustrating as the learning of it. There was once a Chan master, Zen Chan. There was once a Zen master who undertook the instruction of 3 novices. So he took on the responsibility to train these 3 novices, these young monks. He explained to them the need for spiritual discipline and ordered that, starting from that very moment, they observe the rule of absolute silence. Then, holding his finger to his lips, he ordered them to go to their rooms. The first novice said, "O Master, please let me tell you how grateful I am to receive your instruction." Whereupon the second novice said, "You fool! Don't you realize that by saying that you broke the rule of silence?" And the third novice threw his hands up and wailed, "Lord, am I the only person around here who can follow orders?" Sometimes we look around and suppose that nobody else measures up to our standards. We are like those 3 novices. Often, like that first novice, we say we want to learn, but then we don't really pay attention to what our books or teachers tell us. Or like the second novice, we understand the rules, but think that they apply only to others. Or like the third novice, we clamor for praise every time we do what we are supposed to do. Sometimes we share the frustration of that Zen master. Perhaps we see inattention, laziness, frivolity, or intellectual smugness. Worse, we may see people who are accomplished hypocrites, people who pretend that their interests are purely spiritual, while in fact they are 99% amalgam of pride, greed, and lust. And then we throw up our hands in dismay and conclude that the golden age of Zen is over. We are too late. There is no hope for Zen, no hope for enlightenment. We came just in time for the funeral. Every age, every kind of generation, thinks that it has just missed being included in the golden age of enlightenment. Master Yongjia, who studied under 6th Patriarch Huineng, worried about the future of Zen. He despaired of the profusion of worldly people and the scarcity of sincere followers of the Buddha Dharma. Alas, he cried in his Song of Enlightenment, in this time of decadence and worldly evil, no one cares to submit to discipline. The holy period is over, and the era of perversion has begun. Now, Master Yongjia, for all his worries about being in an era of darkness, managed to attain enlightenment in a very short time. He was what you'd call an overnight sensation. In fact, that's how Huineng referred to him, the overnight enlightened one. Master Yongjia's lamp burned for a long time in what was supposed to be a dark era. Master Wei Shan, who was born in 771 and died in 863, saw his earthly life end just as the Tang dynasty's golden age of Zen was ending. Master Wei Shan used to lament, "Isn't it regrettable that we were born at the end of the Enlightenment period?" He despaired of the profusion, the abundance, the large quantity of worldly people, people focused just on materialism, and the scarcity of sincere followers of the Buddha Dharma. How he wished he had been born earlier. He truly feared that there would be no one to take his place. But let's take a moment to recall how Wei Shan got to be called Wei Shan. Wei Shan's original name was Ling Yu, and he was from Fujian province. He studied Zen under Master Baizang Huaihai. Also, something to say is that these aren't just like kind of random people, but for all these names, there are quite extensive records of their teachings and poetry and their lives to varying degrees. And some are more historical, and some are more kind of more religious entities that maybe they were actually alive, maybe they weren't. But there's a lot of records and kind of lived experience behind these names that we actually know about. So Baizang Huaihai was so upset about the state of Zen that he decided to solve the problem by starting a new monastery on Mount Wei, Weishan, which is in Hunan province. Naturally, since he thought that there were so few enlightened people available, he supposed that he'd have to go there and do the job himself. One day, while he was trying to figure out just how he would accomplish this feat, the old ascetic soothsayer, someone able to see the future, and ascetic means a renunciate, someone who lives very simply and gives up many possessions, many pleasures. The old ascetic soothsayer fortune teller Sima happened to pay him a visit. "Give me your advice," asked Baizang Huaihai. "First, what do you think about building a new monastery on Mount Wei?" "Excellent idea," said Sima. "It's an ideal location and can easily support a community of 1,500 monks." Baizang Huaihai was delighted to hear this, but then Sima added, "Don't get any ideas about going there yourself. The mountain is young and strong, and you are old and weak. You'll have to send somebody else." But who? Baizang Huaihai couldn't imagine that anyone around could replace him. Sima tried to help. "Let's see who you've got available," he said. So one by one, Baizang Huaihai summoned all his monks. Naturally, he started with his head monk. So this fortune teller has said that on this mountain, there's a great opportunity for a monastery, and many monks can be there, and this is a good direction to go in. But that you're really too old to take on this feat. To live on a mountain is very difficult, very intense. So let's see what of your monks are able to take on this responsibility for you to establish this monastery. And now the monks are going to kind of be tested. They bring all the monks to test their understanding. Sima took one look at the head monk and shook his head, rejecting him. He continued to reject each one of the various candidates until finally it was Ling Yu's turn to be interviewed. When Sima saw Ling Yu, he nodded his approval. "This is the man," he said. "Send him to Wei Shan." The head monk didn't like this judgment very much, and asked Master Baizang Huai to affirm the decision by examination, that is, to let each candidate actively demonstrate the depth of their Chan, of their Zen, the depth of their realization into non-duality, into spontaneous enlightenment, into not being tied to the string of attachment, to any kind of words and phrases of what's going on here at this moment. So let's do a try here. Anyone can show your Zen level, your Zen enlightenment? Okay, we have a cat here, so cats are always kind of high on the ladder. There we go. There's one cat. The cat made a noise, so that's going to be the... All right, so the cat wins. The cat is the one who spoke up. So I don't know if people here could hear the cat, but there's a cat right over here, and it made a noise. So
Can we see the cat?
yeah. Okay. Yeah, you can just bring to a little bit closer. There we go. Yeah, that's the cat right there. It's very good cat. Likes sausages and living here at the temple. So it's a good cat. All right. So yes. So Bai Zhang Huaihai held a contest. He put a pitcher in the middle of the floor, kind of vase, I imagine, and one by one invited his monks to come into the room and answer the question, without calling this object a pitcher, what should it be called? His head monk came in, looked at the pitcher, thought for a minute, and then answered, "Well, it can't be called a wedge." Baizang Huaihai was disappointed. This obviously contrived answer showed that the head monk was approaching the problem too intellectually. He was still too involved with names and forms. Every candidate gave an unsatisfactory answer until finally it was Ling Yu's turn. Ling Yu came into the room, and when Baizang Huaihai asked, "Without calling this object a pitcher, what should it be called?" Ling Yu spontaneously gave the pitcher such a kick it shattered against the wall. Baizang Huaihai threw back his head and laughed. Sima was right. Ling Yu was indeed the man. A pitcher, so much for name, so much for form. So you see, teachers too sometimes need to learn a lesson. Baizang Huaihai thought that the glorious days of Zen were all in the past. He was wrong. Ling Yu went to the mountain and founded a monastery, and that is how he came to be known as the great master Wei Shan. Over 1,000 years have passed since that contest, and Zen masters are still despairing the profusion of worldly men and the scarcity of sincere followers of Buddha Dharma. Take my own case. When I was young, most of the monasteries in the area south of the three rivers were destroyed during various rebellions. So this is Empty Cloud, this teacher talking about his early life in should be the early 1900s, the late 1800s, when he was living in China. So Most of the monasteries in the area south of the three rivers were destroyed during the various rebellions when I was young. Many monks from the mountains came south on foot to help rebuild these monasteries. What did they have? Nothing. They carried a gourd and a little basket and the clothes on their backs. That was all. Everybody wondered what on earth they could possibly accomplish, but they did the job. They rebuilt the monasteries. Later, as these monasteries flourished and more monks were needed, new monks began to arrive. They came in carts, needing yokes and poles to carry all their possessions. And everybody thought, oh, they are too worldly. They won't get anything done. But they did, didn't they? And now, when I travel someplace and I see monks getting on trains and airplanes with their matched sets of leather luggage, I find myself saying, oh, they are too worldly. They won't accomplish anything. But they will, won't they? You will, won't you? So that's the chapter on difficulties. And regardless of our difficulties, our justifications for why we can't do it or why it's too late or, our kind of time has come to an end, we've made too many mistakes or we've become too worldly, we slept in too late, the day's over, everything's finished, pack up and go home. We try. We put forth the effort. And if we do that, we will accomplish. We will heal suffering. We will become enlightened, become awake. So let's all find our meditation position, our comfortable position for being awake, for being aware. And with the perfume of Zen, the perfume of Chan, the perfume of overcoming difficulties, overcoming confusions in the air, our practice is not complicated, it's not convoluted, it's not intellectual. It's just to breathe in deeply this spirit of awakening, this spirit of transforming difficulties to accomplishment, to awareness, to wholeheartedness. Just being here at this moment, not finding any reason or any justification to give up, that it's past our time or that the conditions aren't just right, but to dive in fully with each and every breath, with no fear, no doubt, no conceptuality, no intellect, but to practice together this just breathing, being aware. Beginning and ending with the sound of the bell. We are invited to practice alone together, breath by breath, moment by moment. Enlighten. So today, in ending our practice together, we will do a chanting of the Heart Sutra. So if you are able to pick it up easily, then that's nice. I'll put a copy in the voice text chat, but if that's not convenient, don't worry about it. You can just listen along. And here at the temple, maybe we'll get a printout of it soon, so you can read along. Okay, so we can all bring our hands together and we will chant the Heart Sutra. You can follow along or just listen. Mahaprajna Paramita Heart Sutra. When the Bodhisattva Avalokiteshvara was coursing in the deeper Prajna Paramita, she realized that all the 5 skandhas are empty, thereby transcending all sufferings. O Shariputra, form is not other than emptiness, and emptiness not other than form. Form is precisely emptiness, and emptiness precisely form. So also are sensation, perception, volition, and consciousness. Shariputra, this form of the emptiness of all dharmas is non-arising, non-perishing, non-impure, non-pure, non-increasing, and non-decreasing. Therefore, in emptiness there is no form, and no sensation, perception, volition, or consciousness. No eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, or mind. No sight, sound, smell, taste, touch, or thought. There is no realm of the eye, all the way up to no realm of consciousness. There is no ignorance, and also no ending of ignorance. Through to no aging and death, and no ending of aging and death. There is no suffering, no cause of suffering, no cessation of suffering, and no path. There is no wisdom and also no attainment. With nothing to attain, bodhisattvas relying on prajna paramita have no obstructions in their minds. Having no obstructions, there is no fear. And departing far from confusion and delusion, they reach ultimate nirvana. All Buddhas of the past, present, and future, relying on prajna paramita, attain supreme Buddhahood. Therefore, the prajna paramita is the great mantra of power, the great mantra of wisdom, the supreme mantra and the unequaled mantra which is able to transcend all sufferings. It is real and not false. Therefore, he uttered the mantra of prajna paramita by saying, Gate, gate, para, samgate, bodhisvaha. Okay, so just all together now to close out, we can say sadhu 3 times, and that will be the end of our session together. Sadhu. Okay, thank you for joining, everyone. Nice to see so many people gathered together. We continue practicing in this way. Don't make it into some intensive struggle or intensive time of your life, but more so a series of small successes, consecutive, regular, small successes in showing up, in participating, in just listening for a few minutes, just meditating for a few minutes. It's always consistency over intensity. Okay? Thank you all for being here, and see you again soon.
And can I have one of you to help me pick up the guy from Maurizio? Yeah.
Okay, maybe I should join too. What do you think?
No, I think so.
Okay.
I asked, so we have communication.
Yeah.
Stability.
So we going